Welcome to Big Valley Living. My name is Michelle and I appreciate you stopping by. We are so excited to have been invited back to Freeze Dried February. This year we have some new channels and we have some returning channels. Thank you, Angela at the Inquisitive Farmwife, for inviting Big Valley Living to stop in again. This is our first full year of owning our medium harvest right freeze dryer. So we have learned a lot. And we have gotten a little bit more used to having it as a tool in the kitchen for preservation and to make our lives so much easier. And in some cases to make sure that we're able to provide really healthy alternative choices for food in our home. Today, we're going to show you how we use our freeze dryer to preserve leftovers that then become very easy meals, portable meals, and meals that kind of save us when we're having storms. Before we get going, we would very much like to thank all of the very generous donors for this year's Freeze Dried February. We have Harvest Right, we have Avid Armor, Freeze Drying Supplies, and 4 Jars. We love products from all 4 of these companies, and if you haven't used any or all of them, we're sure that you will too. So what I'm going to do is drop a link in our description to Angela at the Inquisitive Farmwife. Her initial video for the kickoff for Freeze Dried February has all of the details. Watch for the official logo and hashtag Freeze Dried February. If you don't see both of those, then you may be commenting on a channel who's not going to offer you a chance to win one of these fabulous prizes. So leave a comment for all of these wonderful collaborators. Make sure to watch all the videos to increase your chances of winning. And then on March 6th at the Inquisitive Farmwife on YouTube at 6 p.m. Central Time, we'll see you there. We like to use our freeze dryer for leftovers. Now, we just made stew not very long ago, and I made enough for probably a family of 10. We are a family of 2 in this household. So I took 2 trays worth, and I put 1 tray's worth in this Mylar bag. Notice we got this from Freeze Drying Supplies. We truly use the products from the companies who are sponsoring and donating in this video. So this is an entire dinner of stew that we have. We've labeled it, we've put the date on it, and in the future, we'll be able to take this with us. You know what? It doesn't weigh but ounces. It is amazing. But that's going to be an entire stew dinner. Like, all we got to do is add hot water. We went camping at New Year, and I'll tell you what, I didn't want to be doing a whole lot of cooking and a whole lot of anything, but I did want to have some chili. So we took some, previously canned tomato sauce and beans and some fresh meat, and all I did was make 1 huge crock pot of chili. Okay, chili's good, but you know what? We weren't going to eat chili for like the next week. So what do? We came home and we put it in the freeze dryer. So I want you to see this. This is actually going to be tonight's dinner, so you'll see this in a little while. What else do we do? Well, I love chicken noodle soup, and in the winter especially, there's something just so warming and comforting to have chicken noodle soup. But again, I make a huge batch. I make a gigantic pot, and we're not going to eat chicken soup for days. We used to. We used to freeze a little bit, but we would eat whatever leftovers until they were gone. And that gets a little bit monotonous, doesn't it? Now, I can freeze dry these things, and then I can just take them out as I wish. So one of the ways we really like to preserve our freeze-dried food is to actually put it into a mason jar or, a canning jar. We take our 4 jars lids, and we use our Avid Armor, and we seal the lids. So that's one way we do it. I've already kind of cracked the seal on this one, but I'm going to show you another way that we do preserve some of our foods for tiny, like a lunchtime meal, is that we take a plastic bag knowing that we're going to use it in relatively short order. We put about a 1/2 cup of freeze-dried food in it. This happens to be chicken noodle soup, exactly the same as what's in this jar. But this is the right quantity to put into a little thermos that we can add hot water to if we're up at the snow or we're driving around. I like to take them for lunch. Finally, we're going to show you another thing, and that is, this is split pea soup. Michelle loves split pea soup. So I made a pot and I enjoyed some for a few days. I freeze dried the rest. And we had a huge storm at the beginning of February in California, and it was like statewide. We lost power for 2 days. We didn't have a way to necessarily cook our food, and you may find yourself in the same situation. And I'll show you the creative way that I had a really nice dinner. JJ had actually had dinner earlier in the evening and wasn't hungry, but I am super excited to show you how we were able to enjoy a nice hot meal with no power and the wind was blowing at 65 miles an hour. The cost of eating out for lunch is just not sustainable. There is no way we can afford $10 to $20 every time we go to the office. Not to mention, when we take road trips or we want to go to the beach or to the river, we like to take something with us so that we don't get hangry. So, and we can eat whatever we want, right? Depending on, where you are, you might not have access. So I have this cool little thermos right here. This is not sponsored. And I take a half a cup of soup, this freeze-dried soup. Remember, I keep it in baggies like that. Then I have a nice little Stanley that I keep with me. Oh, I've had this bad boy for years. Fill this. Now you can make it as thin or thick as you wish. But this has noodles and mushrooms and chicken and broth and all the good vegetables. I even have freeze-dried greens in here for a super kick and freeze-dried mushroom powder. This little fella comes with a spoon. Now you just let it sit and reconstitute. It takes no more than about 5 to 7 minutes. I like to actually put this back on to just keep it nice and hot. And I had lunch for pennies on the dollar. We rarely have storms that result in power outages here. This is one of the many reasons that we freeze dry our foods. All right, we do have battery operated lights that we use when we're making videos. So I don't want to keep you, pardon the pun, completely in the dark. So I've already put in some portions of rice for the dogs, and I'm just going to use a little ladle to start warming up the rice with the sweet potatoes. And I'm pretty much putting in an equal amount for the dry amount for this. I just want to rehydrate this. Then when this is all rehydrated, I'll add the peas and the meat. I have this pea soup that I freeze-dried. Put in 6 tablespoons. They're heaping, and they're not measured. I'm just using a soup spoon like that, see? And it's about a third of the way full. And then I'm going to get my ladle and put some warm water in it. I like a soupy soup. My husband doesn't, and that's actually one of the things I really like about freeze-dried soups, is that we can kind of tailor them to how we like them. I put about twice as much water as I did. Ooh, did you hear that? I think our sterno can is getting near the end. Okay, so I put that in, I stirred it in, and now, again, I don't want it super thick, but I don't want it so thin that it doesn't feel like a hearty bowl of soup. And now I'm just going to let that sit. And I know that's the dog's food is almost rehydrated. Yeah. Okay, so the rice is almost completely rehydrated for the dogs, but I'm going to give it just a little bit more time. We had a seal on this, and we use our Avid Armor. We're in a no power situation, so Ball makes these lids that are like leak proof, and it's very dry in the house right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put this leak-proof seal on here. Daisy is so patient. You see her over there? She knows. She knows that Mommy's making her a special meal. Freeze drying has so many positive things. When all this is done, I'll make myself a hot mug of tea, and that'll finish me off. A little bit of chamomile tea to send me off to La La Land. That is a nice bowl of warm soup. And the dogs will be eating as soon as it cools down. We're going to talk about this chili. Once again, note the 4 jars lids. We have an apparatus that fits over the lid of our jars. And then we use these 4 jars lids and put it into over the jar. We vacuum seal it. And it's good to go for a long time. We keep these in the pantry. We can use this for taco salad, chili dogs, or just a bowl of chili if you just want a quick dinner. This is a quart jar, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and reconstitute it for you, and let's see what we get. I went ahead and I put the contents of this quart jar into a bowl, and then I poured over about 2 cups of boiling water. So we're going to let this sit for a few minutes. And we're going to go ahead and give it a little stir. We're having chili dogs for dinner. And we don't want this too thin. I put this in approximately a minute ago, the water, okay? You can see how it's already constituting and turning into chili. I'm going to add about another half a cup of water. I'm going to give it a stir. And at this point, I am going to step away for a couple of minutes. But I don't want it to get too thin because then the chili dogs won't have that rich, tasty texture. While the chili is reconstituting, I went ahead, put together a nice green salad, diced up some lovely red onions, grated some cheddar cheese, got our hot dogs frying in the pan, and then I'm going to give you a little secret. Whenever we have chili dogs, shh, don't tell anybody, we like to actually toast our buns under the broiler because it just gives it that little bit of caramelization that makes everything that much more decadent. Well, there you have it. We have really enjoyed using our freeze-dried food, not wasting our leftovers, which is a really big deal. And we've had some really satisfying meals out of this. Angela at the Inquisitive Farmwife, thank you again so much for inviting us. Tastes like we just made it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like we had it on the pot and the stove all day.
You know what else? This would be really, really good if we just didn't want to have, if we didn't have any hot dogs or anything. Just put it on here with some chips or something and make a taco salad. Wouldn't that be really good? I think I'd like that.
Well, then make that. You can do that.
I think we'll do that the next time. It'll be fun.
You do that.
I will.